Good morning, all the students. Let's start our third lecture under this module 4. Just confirm whether you can see the presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. In the last class, we have seen HDFS concepts, very important concepts under HDFS architecture. That is blocks, how the data is stored in the form of blocks, and what are the tasks that are performed by name node and data node. Now, can you recollect what are the two files that are stored by the name nodes? Can anybody answer me what are the two files that are managed by the name nodes? You should be able to recollect now. NS image. What is this NS image? Namespace, image, and edit log, right? These two are the files that are managed by name node, and name node will distribute the blocks of data onto data nodes and stores that metadata and acts as a directory in order to route the task of analysis where the data is residing. Okay, we understood like, one second. We understood that name node is like a directory which stores the metadata of all the data nodes onto which the data is stored, and at the same time it will route the tasks of analysis and processing to those data nodes whenever some computation has to be done by adhering to the concept of data locality. Okay, and HDFS federation, HDFS high availability, and failover and fencing that are introduced into Hadoop 2.x release will help to manage multiple name nodes and create a coordination between them by using HDFS federation, and the name node availability is ensured without losing any data or without allowing any downtime by using HDFS high availability, which implements a mechanism called as failover and fencing. This failover and fencing will take care that at any point of time, only one name node will be up and running and doesn't allow two name nodes to run at the same time. Because when some, due to some network delays, if at all the name node delays to respond, then the cluster may think that the name node has failed and it may trigger or activate the secondary name node. In such cases, two name nodes will be up and running, but that is not anticipated in any architecture. So failover and fencing is a mechanism which will take care that only one name node will be up and running at any point of time. Okay, and we have also seen the command line interface, how to set up a single machine in a pseudo distributed mode so that it can act as a HDFS. It can act as a machine which supports HDFS, Hadoop distributed file system. For that, we have set two properties. One is the default path and the other one is the default replication factor. Right? Default path has to be set to localhost with the port number 8020, and the replication factor has to be set to 1 because the default replication factor is 3, but you are working on only one machine because you are working in a pseudo distributed mode. That replication factor should be reduced from 3 to 1. Okay, that we have seen how to set these two properties through the command line interface. Now in today's class, we are going to cover on basic file system operations, Hadoop file systems, and interfaces, how HTTP, C, and Fuse will work. Now the file system is ready to be used, and we can do all of the usual file system operations like reading the files, creating the directories, moving files, deleting data, and listing the directories. So the file system is readily built for the user to use according to this: reading the files, creating the directories, moving the files, deleting the data, and listing the directories. Okay, so we can do all these usual file operations by using the existing file system. Now HDFS and Hadoop file system help, that is a command which can be used to get detailed help on every command. If you want to know what does reading a file do, what does creating directories do, how to use that particular command, or how to move the files, what is the result of deleting the data, and how to list the directories. If you want to get some help on those commands, you can use this Hadoop file system help option. Now let us see some basic file system operations. Let us take the simplest task of copying a file from local file system onto HDFS cluster. Okay, understand, we are performing a very simple operation now. Copying the file from your local system onto HDFS cluster. When there are multiple machines you're working with, then you have different machines. You have a local machine, you have lots of machines on HDFS cluster. But remember, you're working in a pseudo distributed mode. So your local machine and the HDFS cluster are both the same. Okay. Now let us start by copying a file from the local file system to HDFS. So let us understand this command now. To copy a file from your local machine to HDFS cluster. What is the command? Any Hadoop command should be preceded with this percentage Hadoop term. Okay, so percentage Hadoop, you're using a command with respect to a file system. So you're using fs, and what operation you're performing here? Copy from the local machine. That is why you're giving hyphen copy from local, and from which file you're copying the data, give that path. Input from input directory, from docs, from the text file quangle.txt, you are reading the data, and to where you are writing the data, what is the destination? This is the source file from which you are reading the data from the local machine. But to which file you are writing it onto in HDFS, onto the cluster, that you are mentioning with this file path. HDFS on the HDFS cluster. Because you are running it in a pseudo distributed mode, your local host itself is the machine that is hosting HDFS also. So local host under the user folder Tom, you're copying this file quangle.txt. Okay, so you're taking the file from the local machine, this is the source, and you're copying it to the destination folder that is on your HDFS cluster. Again, I'm reminding, because you're working in a pseudo distributed mode, both are hosted on the same machine. But in the real time, that is not the case. You work with multiple machines. Okay, so to understand the basic file operations, let us assume that source and destination are different. That is why we are giving here the source path and to which destination path it is copied onto. The source is selected from the local machine. That is why you are using copy from local, and it is copied onto HDFS cluster. Okay. Now what are the alternative commands you can use for this? We can omit the scheme and host of the URI and pick up the default HDFS localhost. Sometimes you can omit this URI scheme. The entire scheme need not be used. You can shorten the command. Now it can be rewritten as %Hadoop file system command, copy from local, give the local file's path, And did you see here? You have omitted HDFS localhost. This part you have omitted. HDFS localhost scheme you have omitted, and directly you're giving the destination path without using the URI, because you are working in a pseudo distributed mode and the local machine itself is the HDFS cluster also. That is why you have a choice to omit this URI. And what is the next alternative? We also could have used a relative path and copy the file to our home directory in HDFS, which is in this case user Tom. If at all you have set the home directory in HDFS to a particular path, in such cases you can give the relative path directly. You need not give the entire path. Okay, so you're using percentage Hadoop FS, copy from local, you're copying from the local file system and you're copying it onto HDFS cluster by omitting this path, because you have already set the home directory in HDFS to user Tom, right? That is another alternative. Now let's copy the file back to the local file system and check whether it is the same or not. Okay, now you have copied from your local machine onto HDFS cluster. Now you're copying the same file from HDFS cluster back to your local machine and see whether the data is intact or not, whether the data is same or not, whether the data is consistent or not. Means no disturbances to the data happened. You are ensuring that no disturbances to the data happen. How you're doing that? First, let us copy the file back to the local file system and check whether it is the same. How to copy it from HDFS cluster to local machine? Again, use the same command, percentage Hadoop file system. And did you see the command before? You used copy from local because you're copying from local machine to HDFS cluster. Now we are using copy to local because you're taking the file from HDFS cluster and copying it onto your local machine, right? So you're using copy to local. Which file you're copying? Quangle.txt, and you're copying it back to your local machine as a copy, because you need to compare whether the original file and the copied file from HDFS cluster back to local machine, whether both are the same or not, whether the data is intact or not, you want to check. That is why when you're copying the file back from HDFS cluster to local machine, create a copy of it. Now you have to compare Quangle.txt that is copied from HDFS cluster to your local machine as a copy. Now we are comparing the original file and the copy of the file. Understand this carefully. First, you have copied a file from local machine to HDFS cluster. Now you are copying back the file on HDFS cluster back to your local machine and checking whether this copy is same as the original file or not. How you are performing that comparison? By using the message digest algorithm. MD5 is a message digest algorithm which will generate a 128-bit hash key to indicate whether the data is consistent or not. So how you are implementing this message digest algorithm? Just use the command percentage MD5. You are comparing the original file on the local system with the copy that has been copied from HDFS cluster to your local machine. Understand this carefully. Now observe this output. The original file's 128-bit hash key is this one, what is given here. And the copy of the file that is copied from HDFS cluster to your local machine, that 128-bit hash key is given here. Both are the same, right? This indicates that the data is safely copied from local machine to HDFS cluster and HDFS cluster back to your local machine. It is copied safely, maintaining the data integrity. Data is not corrupted. The data is safely copied to and fro, right? Because both the hash keys are the same, which is confirmed by the message digest algorithm. Okay, this is the simplest of any file system operations that we can perform. So this example we have taken just to understand how easily you can perform the file system operations. Finally, let us look at an HDFS file listing. Now we create a directory first just to see how it is displayed in the listing. Okay, and let us see some more commands in order to create a directory and list the components of the directory. How to create a directory? These Hadoop commands are almost similar to your Unix commands. So you will understand very easily how they work. Okay. Now how to create a directory here using Hadoop command file system. Use the command make directory. Which directory you are naming, with what name you are naming the directory? Books. Okay. Books is the name of the directory here. So you are creating a new directory by using make directory command, mkdir, make directory command, and the new directory books you are creating. Now you are using again the Hadoop command file system and trying to list out all the components in the current working directory by using the command -ls. You know that ls is used to list the commands in a directory, components in a directory. Now, see what is displayed here. Now let us try to understand each of these components. What is the first component here? This component suggests the read-write privileges that are available or that are given to that particular directory or file. Whether it is having a write option or a read option or read write option, what kind of access it allows. Okay, that is given in the first part. And next you can see this hyphen, this hyphen indicates nil because there are the replication factor can't be maintained for the directories. Okay, that is why here it is nil, just indicated by a simple hyphen. Here it is indicated as 1, means the replication factor for this quangle.txt file is taken as 1. Remember, you are working in a pseudo distributed mode and you have explicitly set the replication factor to 1. That is why it has given the replication factor here as 1 for the text file and nil, just a hyphen for the directory, because for directories you don't maintain any replication copies, replicated copies, right? And what is the next component here? It indicates the owner of the file. Tom is owner of the file, and this also indicates whether he belongs to a group or a super group or an admin, to which type of group he belongs to. That is given here. And you can see this part. This indicates the number of bytes that are contained in the file. In directory, you don't have any bytes stored. You don't have any information stored. You have only files that contain data. So in directory, you don't have any information directly stored. That is why it is given as 0. But here it is taken as 118 bytes. Okay, quangle.txt contains 118 bytes of data. And here this indicates the date and time last modified. This directory is last modified on this date and at this time. This text file is last modified on this date and this time. Okay, and what is this? The path of the directory and the path of the file, absolute path of the directory and absolute path of the file. Okay, so when you listed out all the components of the file system, it is in this way it will be displayed. So you should understand what each component represents. Now Hadoop file systems are implemented in an abstract notion. Hadoop has an abstract notion of file system, of which HDFS is just one implementation. And the Java abstract class org.organization, org.apache.hadoop.fs.file system. This is the abstract class. Abstract class means what? You know what is an abstract class, right? Abstract class has all the declarations of the functions, but concrete implementations are not available. Concrete implementations are available only in the classes which are derived from this particular class. Okay, so the Java abstract class org.apache.hadoop.fs.file system represents a file system in Hadoop, and there are several concrete implementations which are described in the upcoming table. Okay, so Hadoop has a completely abstract notion of the file system, of which Hadoop HDFS is just one implementation. There are many other file systems. Among that, HDFS is one of the implementations. I'll show you what other implementations are available and for what purpose they are intended. Okay, now let us see the Hadoop file systems in detail. Now just observe here, the first column represents the file system, second column URI scheme, and the third column Java implementation for that file system, and what exactly it does is given in the last column in form of description, right? Now let us start with what all file systems that are available under Hadoop. Now the first file system that is available is local, and the URI scheme that is used for it is file. And how is the Java implementation done? Using fs.local file system. So any Java implementation is a concrete implementation of the original abstract implementation org.apache.hadoop. Now for this local file system, it is .fs.local file system. So whenever we are talking about the Java implementations, they should be preceded with this org.apache.hadoop, right? When you're writing a MapReduce program or when you're writing some processing task, you have to use some Java implementations of Hadoop file systems. In such cases, you should not forget to precede the Java implementations with org.apache.hadoop. In this case, it is fs.local file system. That is the Java implementation. Now, what is it used for? A file system for a locally connected disk with client-side checksums. What is a checksum? Checksum is like a number which indicates whether the data is copied safely from the client to HDFS cluster and HDFS cluster back to client. Okay, so when both of these actions have the same checksum, then it indicates that the files are copied safely without any data corruption. Okay, so checksums ensure the data integrity, whether the data is consistently copied to and fro or not. So a file system for a locally connected disk with client-side checksums is available under this local file system, and it uses raw local file system for a local file system with no checksums. So you can exclude the usage of checksums. If you don't want the usage of checksums, then you can directly use raw local file system. But if you want checksums in the place, in order to ensure the data integrity, data consistency, then you have to use just local file system. If you don't want checksums, then you can use raw local file system, right? So what is the next file system available here? HDFS. We have already seen about this, right? The URI scheme we use is HDFS, and the Java implementation goes like this: HDFS dot distributed file system. So Hadoop's distributed file system is implemented by this, and HDFS is designed to work efficiently in conjunction with MapReduce. HDFS is to be compatible enough to work with MapReduce tasks in order to read the in order to send the computation or processing task onto various data nodes and collect back the results. Okay, for that HDFS is designed to work efficiently in conjunction with MapReduce job. And the next file system is HFTP. HFTP is Hadoop File Transfer Protocol. Now, the Java implementation for this is HDFS.HFTP file system, and a file system providing read-only access to HDFS over HTTP. So, if a file system, this file system provides only read access to HDFS over which protocol? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And despite its name, HFTP has no connection with FTP. HFTP doesn't have any connection with the general file transfer protocol. You have to remember this. And often with this is often used with DistCP. DistCP you're going to see in the last part of this chapter. To copy data between HDFS clusters running different versions. If the HDFS clusters are running different versions, in this data center, HDFS cluster is being run on one version, and on another data center, HDFS cluster is running on a different version. Now these two versions, to make the data to make the copying of data compatible enough to be moved between these two clusters, you use DistCP. Okay, so this HFTP is often used along with this DistCP to copy data between different HDFS clusters running on different versions. Okay, and what does HSFTP do? It is almost same as HFTP, but it is more secured connection. Okay, so a file system providing read-only access to HDFS over secured HTTP rather than simple HTTP. Now this works over secured HTTP. Now what is Web HDFS? This is a combination of HFTP and HSFTP. The URI scheme used for this is Web HDFS, and the Java implementation is HDFS.web.webHDFS file system, and this is a file system providing secure read-write access to HDFS over HTTP. So this implements Kerberos authentication in order to provide data security. Okay, now in case of HFTP and HSFTP, that provides only read access, but Web HDFS provides read as well as write access to HDFS, but again over HTTP. So Web HDFS is intended as a replacement for HFTP and HSFTP. Now what is this HAR? It is called as Hadoop Archive. Its URI scheme is HAR, and it is implemented as fs.har file system. Now a file system layered on another file system for archiving the files. This HAR is a file system that is placed on another file system for archiving the files. Now why do you need to archive the files? Hadoop archives are typically used for archiving files in HDFS to reduce the name node's memory usage. If you want to reduce the name node's memory usage, say if more and more files are accumulating, then all that files metadata have to be stored with the name node. And among those files, if only some files are being used frequently, and all the other large number of files are not being used frequently, in such cases, you can transfer them I'll give you an example. Say you buy a car from a showroom. Now your data is very important to that showroom for the first 2-3 years. But as you become an old customer to that showroom, your data can be archived because that is not as much important as a new customer's data, right? So your data can be archived after some duration. In the same way, when the data files are not being accessed very frequently, they can be archived so that that metadata of the data need not be maintained in the name node. So name node's memory usage can be reduced. Name node's load can be reduced by archiving infrequently used data files. Okay, and that archiving can be done by this HAR, Hadoop Archive. And the next file system is KFS, Cosmos File System, which is used as a cloud store. And Cloud Store, formerly Cosmos File System, is a distributed file system like HDFS or Google's file system written in C++. Okay, if you want to know more about this, you can hit on this link and just explore what is KFS. Now the next file system is FTP, File Transfer Protocol. This is a file system backed by an FTP server, the simplest of the servers, File Transfer Protocol server. And another file system available under Hadoop file systems is S3 native. S3 means Simple Storage System. S3, 3S indicates Simple Storage System. Okay, so the URI scheme for this is S3N, and the Java implementation is fs.s3native native S3 file system, and this is also a file system backed by Amazon S3. Okay, this is supported by Amazon's Simple Storage System. So there is another version of S3, that is S3 block based. Okay, so a file, this is also a file system backed by Amazon S3, like S3 native, which stores files in the form of blocks. In S3 native, they store the file system in on disks in the form of file system itself. But here they store the data in the form of blocks to overcome S3's 5 GB file size limit. Okay, so the next file system available is distributed RAID. What is RAID? I said already, I discussed on this already. It is redundant array of inexpensive or independent disks. Okay, this RAID is a mechanism which ensures high availability of the data without any data loss or downtime of the business. Okay, so this distributed RAID is called as distributed redundant array of inexpensive or independent disks. A RAID version of HDFS it is mainly designed for archival storage. For each file in HDFS, a smaller parity file is created, which allows the HDFS replication to be reduced from 3 to 2, which reduces disk usage by 25% to 30%, while keeping the probability of data loss the same. Distributed RAID requires that you run a RAID node daemon on the cluster. Let me explain this very, very clearly to you. Now, when you are replicating the data, when you are mirroring the data, when you are maintaining multiple copies of the data on redundant array of independent disks or RAID architecture, now if you take a file and store the copy as it is, what will happen? It wants twice the memory space. Now you store 3 copies of it, it needs thrice the memory space, right? But rather than storing the file as it is, if you create a parity file, something like generating a hash key out of a file, then that will require lesser space. How much lesser space? 25% to 30% lesser space when you create a parity file and store the replicated data. In such cases, what will happen? Whenever the original data is lost, this parity file will be accessed, and from this parity file, the original file can be reconstructed. Understood? So from this parity file, the original file can be reconstructed. But at the same time, what you notice? You notice that this parity file doesn't occupy the same space as the original file. This parity file occupies 25% to 30% lesser space. Okay, that is one technique under RAID, using a parity file for redundant storage of data rather than mirroring the data files as it is. Okay, and distributed RAID requires that you run a RAID node daemon on the cluster. Distributed RAID requires that you run a RAID node daemon on the cluster. What is this daemon? Whenever you want to implement the HDFS architecture and make it run MapReduce jobs, it should run 5 different daemons. What are these daemons? Name node, secondary name node, secondary name node, data nodes, job tracker, and the task trackers. Okay, these are the 5 daemons that has to be run in order to keep the Hadoop cluster up and running. Okay, in order to keep the HDFS cluster active state, to make it run processing tasks, it has to run these 5 daemons. Now, if it is implementing this distributed RAID file system, it should run the 6th daemon also, that is this RAID node daemon. Got it? Now, the next file system that is available is Vue, and the URI used for this is vuefs, and the Java implementation is vuefs.vue file system. This is a client-side mount table for other Hadoop file systems and commonly used to create mount points for federated name nodes. If you are using multiple nodes in a federated architecture, then this Vue file system is used to create the mount points for those federated nodes. Mount points means where you can load the data. Okay, that kind of mount points can be created by using this Vue file system. Now, Hadoop provides many interfaces to its file systems, and it generally uses the URI scheme to pick the correct file system instance to communicate with. Okay, so Hadoop is capable of providing many interfaces for its all file systems, and it generally uses the exact URI scheme to pick up the correct file system instance in order to communicate with that file system. Remember, HDFS cluster can have lots of instances of all these file systems running simultaneously at the same time. In such cases, the Hadoop uses the exact URI scheme to pick the correct file system instance to communicate with that file system without any errors. Okay, do you think that HDFS cluster runs only at single task? No, HDFS cluster runs thousands of tasks simultaneously, and all of those tasks will be using different kinds of file systems. So in order to communicate with a correct file instance, it uses the URI scheme. It takes help of the URI scheme. Now, although it is possible to run MapReduce programs that access any of these file systems, when you are processing large volumes of data, you should choose a distributed file system that has the data locality optimization, notably HDFS. So when large volumes of data is being distributed and being run in a distributed mode, then you should choose a distributed file system that has the data locality optimization. You should choose the appropriate file system which uses this data locality optimization so that you can minimize the data transfer between various nodes. So what are the technologies that are available with Hadoop? Hadoop is written in Java. It is written in Java language. Even the MapReduce framework, you write it in Java language only. But it is compatible with other languages also. Hadoop is written in Java, and all Hadoop file system interactions are mediated through the Java API. Now, the file system shell, for example, is a Java application that uses the Java file system class to provide the file system operations. Okay, so Java application uses the Java file system class in order to provide all these file system operations that we have discussed. Now, the simplest of interfaces that is available is HTTP. There are two ways of accessing HDFS over Hypertext Transfer Protocol. What are those two methods? Using it directly, where the HDFS daemons serve HTTP requests to clients. The HDFS daemons directly serve the HTTP request to clients. And the second mechanism is via a proxy or proxies, via a single proxy or number of proxies, which accesses HDFS on client's behalf using the usual distributed file system API. Now this is depicted in this picture. In direct access, the clients directly interact with the name nodes and the data nodes. Here there is no mediator, but in this case, what is the advantage is this communicates with HTTP requests. Let me first tell you about the communication. Okay, in this direct access, the clients directly interact with name nodes and data nodes via this HTTP communication. Okay, they communicate over this hypertext text transfer protocol, and it helps to implement Kerberos authentication. It helps to implement Kerberos authentication in this direct communication. Means the data transfer will be kept safe in such kind of communications. Then what is the second mechanism? It uses proxies. HDFS uses proxies here to ensure the communication, to enable the communication between client and name nodes and data nodes. So the client interacts with name nodes and data nodes via the proxies. Okay, so either a single proxy or multiple proxies are used to communicate between clients and the name nodes or data nodes. You can see here the solid lines represent HTTP requests and the frequent dotted lines represent remote procedure requests and thick dotted lines represent block requests. And HDFS proxy also enables to communicate not only between name nodes and data nodes in a single data center, but across the data centers. Okay, they can enable communication across the data centers, not only a single data center. And this also helps us to implement firewalls or bandwidth optimization mechanisms. If you want to optimize the bandwidth in order to save some data or communication over the bandwidths, or if you want to implement some firewalls for data security, that can be enabled by using this HDFS proxies working as mediators between clients and name nodes and data nodes. Now another interface is provided by C, and Hadoop provides a C library called libHDFS. Hadoop provides a library called as library HDFS that mirrors the Java file system interface, but it is actually a C library, but works same as Java file system interface. Now it works using the Java native interface JNI to call a Java file system client. And you can find the generated documentation for C API in the library HDFS docs API directory of the Hadoop distribution. So if you want to learn more on this documentation for the C API, then you can find it under this path. You know what is an API, right? I already gave you a very easy example to understand what is an API. So you go to a restaurant and you order something from the chef. The mediation to make you order something from the chef is enabled by a server in the restaurant, right? So this API acts as that server between the client and the source of data. You want to read some data or you want to write some data onto a file, then this API acts as a mediator. Now this file system, another interface that is available for this Hadoop is Fuse, that is file system in user space. File system in user space, shortly named as Fuse, allows file systems that are implemented in user space to be integrated as a Unix file system. So if you want to have the experience of working with Unix file system, then this Fuse allows such file systems that are implemented in the user space that work same as your Unix file systems. Now Hadoop's Fuse distributed file system contrib module, Fuse DFS contrib module allows any Hadoop file system, but typically HDFS, to be mounted as a standard file system to be used for any file system operations. And we can then use Unix utilities such as listing the components of the directory or reading or writing the data to a file, reading the data from a file or writing to the data to a file, or to interact with the file system. We can use the Unix utilities if you are working with Fuse. And you also have POSIX libraries, that is Portable Operating System Interface. So POSIX stands for Possible Operating System Interface. So these POSIX libraries can be used to access the file system from any programming language. Okay, it makes it compatible to access the file system from any type of programming language. And Fuse DFS is implemented in C using again the same library HDFS as the interface to work with the HDFS cluster. Okay, so what are the types of interfaces we have seen? Interfaces using HTTP, interfaces using C, and interfaces using Fuse. Interfaces using Fuse will make you, it makes the interface more user friendly by giving the user an experience as if he is working with Unix file system itself directly. Now in the upcoming class, we are going to discuss on the Java interface to perform operations like reading data from a Hadoop URL, reading data using the file system API, file system data input stream, writing data, file system data output stream, and working with directories. Okay, all these tasks, how you perform using a Java interface, that we are going to see in the next class. Any doubts, students, still here with any of the commands? Ravi Shankar?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear for you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Diksha, Pavan Kumar?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Okay, then we'll meet in the next class. Stay back for taking attendance.